Okay, we're going to call to order the Board of Education special meeting, April 3rd. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brady.
Here.
Mrs. Capabianca. Here. Mr. Cavagnano. Mrs. Hona here. Mr. Kisco.
Here.
Mr. Marola. Mr. Nargi.
Here.
Mr. Rivero.
Here.
Mr. Tebow.
Here.
Mr. Traub.
Here.
Mrs. Batchelder. Here. Mrs. DeMonico. Here. Mr. Jocelyn.
Here.
Mrs. Clacko. Here. Mayor Bingham. Not here, and the student reps are not here. I don't need for them to be here. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have anybody on the sign-up sheet? We have one person? Okay. I was going to read that.
Mr. Reynolds?
Okay, the board invites members of the community to speak on topics to be addressed in the agenda or on topics of interest. Individuals wishing to make comment are requested to fill out the speaker sign-up sheet, including name and address, which must also be stated at the beginning of your comment. The board will not allow comments regarding specific staff members or personal grievances. Courtesy is expected in this limited public forum. The participating time will be limited to 3 minutes per person and 10 minutes overall. Welcome.
L. Reynolds, 466 Hayden Hill. I hope that you approve a flat budget. And what I mean by flat budget is what was approved by the Board of Finance last year. Nothing cooking books or the additional teachers that were hired mid-year. I'd like to see eSchool sold for $2.7 million. My children are the 5th generation residents here. My family represents 57 taxpayers. I think the street department should plow for $200,000 savings. I think the SRO officers should be with the police department for a $300,000 savings. I think a paid business manager should report to the office. I really do think you should do 0 increase as your boss has requested. And I'd also like to see the AD retired. Thank you.
Good. And we need to untable.
I would like to move that we take the approval of the superintendent's 2013-2014 proposed budget off of the table.
Second. Okay. We will resume our discussion of last week at this point. Sorry, I'm disorganized.
Ask a clarifying point.
Absolutely.
The public has been very confused as far as what budget we are actually reviewing, so I think it would be helpful to clarify which budget we're actually on at this point.
That's a good question. Okay, at this point, we have the superintendent's proposed budget, which is, Jocelyn's waving a book at me. I have it right here. Which is $71,622,258, and it consists of a 7.8% increase. That's the budget that was submitted to us that we are in the process of discussing. Okay. Discussion. Mr. Kisco, did you come up with anything before we start going line item by line item?
No.
Mr. Brady? Mr. Morley?
No.
No.
Mr. Nargi.
Are we going to get some information on health insurance? Is that going to be, I thought she was going to prepare some documentation for us.
It was emailed to you, but yes, we have copies of it.
Okay, I'd like to look at that. I guess I'd like to just start off by just saying some numbers here. In looking over the health benefits from the 2011-2012 year to what is being proposed for 2013/2014, over that 2-year period, we're looking at an 11% increase over a 2-year period. I look at wages over a 2-year period increasing by 13%. I look at the entire budget over a 2-year period of an 11% increase. And then I look at the educational cost sharing and I see a 2% increase. I don't, without trying to, again, micromanage everything the board and the administration does on a week-to-week basis, month-to-month basis, year-to-year basis. If we just stay with the numbers, these numbers, this operation is not sustainable forever. You can't just keep having these types of huge increases in the running of the school district and not get some type of rational, reasonable amount of increase in compensation from the state. That being said, I don't know how we can continue to place that tax burden on the property owners of Torrington, because it's not an income tax. Maybe Torrington residents' income is increasing proportionately. Maybe their income on average has increased 11% over the last 2 years. But clearly, if you're a property owner in the city of Torrington, both residential and commercially, your property values over the last 2 years have substantially decreased. So what's the rationale for being able to say we should have a 2% increase, a 10% increase, a 100% increase? Who here is going to justify the economics based on the revenue received and the amount of money that we want to spend? Hopefully we can have that discussion sometime in the course of the night as we proceed. But it can't just, you need to run this operation as any business would be run. And when you don't have the revenue, you just can't spend more money. Not over year over year. This isn't just today, this year's budget. We're looking at 2 years. If we start looking at 3, 4, 5-year budget, it's still not sustainable in the economy in which we started to deteriorate since the year 2008. So hopefully we view that as we take this entire budget and make our determination that there's a big picture, there's a macro picture involved, and I think we need to keep that in mind as we go forward with our discussion tonight.
Thank you. Ellen?
I just have
I
some
have specific
you have some
questions,
specific-
but no.
okay. Do we, before you get into the specifics, do you have that summary sheet of all the site budgets into one master budget?
It's in the budget book.
But not in, we didn't get it in this part, showing the years. You gave us, last time you gave us all the sites, but no total budget,
That's this budget.
but it doesn't have, last meeting I'd asked you to get and add, make a one sheet like this, but with these numbers.
No.
No? I mean, this one here, yes, has, you know, this just has last year budget,
Yeah,
proposed budget.
right,
But we went through and created these individual site budgets
right.
that the city had asked us to do a 5-year trend. And you have that here, but we don't have an overall
Right.
5-year trend.
No, I don't. That's not something that we can pull from New World. I mean, I can work on it before we get to the city, but
Okay.
it's not a report that's in New World because,
No, I know you that these were made, I understand that, because we didn't have this software back then. Okay.
so that's why, I mean, that, I would have to just condense them
Okay.
into the same line items.
All right, what presentations do we have this evening for the board before we have the health insurance sheets? We did that 5-year, 4-year, I don't remember how many years. Because it might clear up some of the specific questions or raise some specific questions as we go through this to clarify if we know what.
Ken, I have a couple, while Danielle is checking on it, there was a question about enrollments and 504 RTI and ELL, I'll pass that along.
Thank you.
There was a question about stipends. Because we haven't closed out 12-13, I can give you 11-12 complete, and year-to-date 12-13. I think, Fiona, you were asking for some specifics on that. So I'll send those two around.
Is that by building?
It's actually, you will see the person appointed to each of the stipends. You may not know where they are, but for example, if it says coordinator of middle school math, you know, you can kind of put it together.
Danny, did you pull one of these?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank
If you need more, I certainly can get it, but 11-12 will come around first. I did the, Fiona, I did the mentors separately because it's a little different, it's a different report, but those are also stipends that we pay out. Sorry.
Are athletic stipends separated out?
Those are coaches' salaries, those are not stipends, that's a whole different report. The coaches don't get stipends, they get salaries.
But there were athletic stipends in them.
Right, it's in the contract, and I believe we saw that as that's part of the athletics budget. Yeah.
You also asked last week what the trend for regular ed tuition is over the past 5 years, so that's going around. And you asked last week to add to the special ed, the 13-14 budget, the grants, and per pupil expenditure, so all that's within this packet.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
if we can start with your first handout now that everybody has it.
Yep.
Which one are you going to do first?
It's the one entitled Students and Programs, 504, RTI, and ESL. And let me de-jargonize that for you if I could. What you have is each of the schools with their total enrollment, which is reflected in the budget book. There was a snapshot that was taken at the beginning of this process. So the first column is Section 504, Americans with Disabilities Act. How many students have plans under Section 504? And it breaks it out by school. Then you have the RTI, which is the response to intervention, which in a nutshell is the opportunity to take a look at students who are struggling. In the not too distant past, many of these students went directly to special education referral. The state developed an opportunity or a way to try to meet students' needs prior to going to special education. And you'll see in that column the number of students that are, a snapshot of the number of students that are in that pipeline now being looked at. And then your ELL, when we talk about ELL, we're talking about English language learners. That can be ESL, that is, or it can be bilingual. We combine both terminology to say these are speakers of a language other than English as their main language, and the number of students that receive services, either ESL, English as a second language, or bilingual help for those, and you'll see the numbers expressed there. I think what this was a request from Fiona, who wanted to know, trying to get a handle on how many students are in specialized programs. So you combine that with our special education program and you get some idea. I would like to point out that all students who are in special ed are also, by definition, in 504. They have a disability. But not all 504 students are in special ed.
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So if we look at the elementary numbers, just, we'll take 504 because that's a medical, or ADA. How come our numbers drop so much down when we get to TMS and THS? So we have over 100 kids in the 5 elementaries, but then TMS has 38, THS has 28. And are we losing these kids, or? I mean, I would anticipate that the numbers at the middle school and the high school would be somewhere around what the 5 elementary schools are.
I'm not sure I have an answer for you other than there are times when a student starts off in a 504 and it may progress to the point where they're in need of special education services. That might be one reason. So what I'm talking about when I give you those 504 numbers, those are just the 504 students. So it is possible that, and I don't have figures in front of me that track all the students, but it is possible that they have moved on to an IEP in special education. So the number would go down.
But they would still have a 504.
They would have a 504, but they wouldn't show in these numbers because I didn't add all special education student numbers to the 504 because I thought that would be misleading for what you were looking at. That may be one reason. I think you raise an interesting question. A 504 does follow the student to the middle school. So what you're saying is, why do we have so many? Now, once a student has a disability, they have a disability.
Right.
They're
So I
not
would expect
exited
to
from
see
that.
similar
Yeah,
numbers
that's an
going
interesting
all the
question.
way up to the high school.
Yeah, I'll certainly take a look at that and see if I can get you a reasonable answer to that question.
Deals with how many are going in and how many are going out, it's that transition. Right. Okay. I would just expect that it would maybe be around 15% differential, not 80% differential.
Any other questions on this report? Okay. What's your next one there?
The other ones, I gave you the 2011-12, what you have for stipend appointments, and you also have the 12-13 to date. These stipend positions coincide with contractual obligation in the teacher the teacher contract, which pays a stipend to these extra duties. You'll see the coordinating positions. Because we don't have department heads, we do pay a small yearly annual stipend to somebody to kind of look out for their particular discipline. They serve as a liaison with the administration. They assist supervisors in preparation of budgets. They provide the supervisors and principals with inventories and the need for supplies and materials. They may help develop curriculum when that curriculum is up for review. They may help to develop new programs and courses, assist administrators in selecting materials, help us with professional development in terms of delivery and planning, help with in-service programs. They also may take a look at the department in terms of assessment of the department from a curriculum standpoint. It is a 10-month position throughout the school year, and it's those positions are all found in Appendix B of the schedule. You also see there director of the band programs. Those are above and beyond the school day in terms of planning and carrying out performances. And then on the second page, you see some of the drama and club positions, class book, student government, and the annual stipends that go along with that. Most of those positions were filled. On the third page, it gets into some of the, in 2011 and 2012, some of the curriculum work that was done. And then at the bottom of the page, you see the totals of the expenditures. 12-13, like I said, we're still we're still in that, but I did give you to date where the stipends have gone in there. The only other piece that I did give you, because it was not on this sheet, it's a little different category, are the mentor stipends. For new teachers, we are required by state law to provide a mentor for each of the students, for each of the new teachers coming in, and those mentor stipends are contractual. There is also, you'll see some lesser amounts. We have teachers who are reading the summaries that the new teachers have to write in order to pass their competencies for team, and they are paid a $25 stipend for reviewing and assessing those particular papers that the teachers submit.
Phil.
Sir.
Looking at the 12-13 handout, page 3 of 3. Well, do you have the 11-12?
I have 11-12.
Fine.
Look at
That's
3 of
fine.
3.
11-12 is fine.
Yeah.
The totals at the bottom,
Yeah.
you have stipends that affect TRV.
Teacher Retirement Board.
Yep. Stipends that are not affecting, then you have the total stipends of $86,000.
Yep.
Then you have total drama stipends.
Yep.
Then you have total other stipends, not including curriculum work.
Yeah, the number you're looking at is total stipends, 86,306. For whatever reason, at some point, we wanted to break out and look at what does it cost to do the drama, so that just totals that amount. And the 62 is, in case people wanted to look just at the stipends that do not include the curriculum. So really, the total that you're looking at is the 86,306.
Plus the curriculum work.
Right.
Do we have a total on the curriculum work?
For last year, that we have that total, 62. Well, you would subtract it out.
Well, no, because the total stipends minus the drama is the total other, but it says not including curriculum.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just curious what the curriculum is so that we have a total of stipends.
Oh, okay, because right now you're looking at it and it just shows the $45 an hour. I can look back, we haven't done the curriculum work for the current budget. Sue, did we expend money for curriculum work for the
It's expended
12, 13?
right after July
Yeah,
first.
right
Okay.
It's usually done in July.
I can-
It's similar to what's in the current budget for that, so it's about $28,000 total for 2 content areas to provide staff for K-12 vertical curriculum team.
I think we've used that, a similar figure each year as we rotate through the curriculum.
So if we take our 12, 13 with a total stipend of $78,476, we could add approximately $28,000 to that. That would cover the
Yeah.
curriculum.
Yeah,
And then new this year, we added lunch duty.
correct, that's not
So
reflected
that's
here either.
not, because it's not a set stipend, it depends on how many teachers come into each lunch wave at the middle and high. I can tell you what we budgeted for this year, and I can tell you what we're looking at. That was new this year, so it's,
Yeah.
we're trying to wait till the end of this, we are waiting till the end of this school year to figure out.
Page 3 of 3 on your 12, 13 lists the individuals that are doing the job, but we don't have the totals yet. Yeah,
We budgeted 26,000 for the middle school and 34,560 for the high school. What that entails by the principals, for the middle school, it's 3 lunch waves with 3 teachers in each lunch wave, so 9 teachers a day. And at the high school, 4 teachers for 3 lunch waves. And we're coming right into that number. The principals are assigning the teachers every day, so they don't have to be in the lunchroom.
Okay.
So is it 3 teachers at each lunch, so it's 9 teachers for each section of lunch each day at $17 an hour? And at the high school, it's
Half
about
hour.
half an hour.
At the high school, it's 4
Right.
teachers for 4 lunchrooms.
Yeah.
And that was added to the contract this year. Not that we are required to fill those positions, but if we do fill them, that's the contractual amount we agreed to.
So our total this year for total stipends is $167,036 roughly. Okay.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions on those 2 points? Yes.
Yeah. Has any thought been given, I mean, we're spending an awful lot of money on the theater, I mean, I support the theater program. It just seems to me, this is an educational institution, the point is to be educating kids. I'm just wondering at this dollar figure, isn't there some way that we could actually be training kids who are interested in drama to actually, by senior year, direct themselves and produce themselves and compose music for productions themselves, so that our students are actually doing this by junior, senior year? You know, I mean, aren't these teaching moments and not adult gratification moments?
Couldn't you say the same thing about the football?
That what, they could
That
coach
if they
themselves?
get good enough by the senior year, they should be able to do it themselves.
No, I don't think so, I strongly disagree. There's physical danger involved in that. I don't see, what's gonna happen if the production's not good? It's gonna get a bad review and it's going to register? I mean,
I think what he's saying is not to have the kids just run the asylum. It would be have someone trained
Correct.
to be a director. have someone mentor with the.
Right, still need a teacher there to oversee.
requires-
If we were gonna
Well,
put it on.
I don't think he's saying to take the stipend out, he's saying use it as a teaching moment to have
Correct.
someone shadow that
Correct.
director, producer, choreographer.
They do that.
They do
To-
that.
to
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah.
How many students are in drama?
Is that what's happening? They're actually, the students themselves are direct, I mean, I just see these titles here, director,
I don't know.
producer.
Fiona, your question would vary, it would vary depending upon the production.
We only have an estimate.
It could be it could be, it could be a relatively low number. I don't know what we've done in the past, what shows we've done in the past, but some of them involve a great number of students, and some involve fewer. We could look at it, but it varies. There's no given amount.
And we're talking $24,000 for the middle school and high school. Doesn't seem out of range to me when we're spending $500,000 on athletics. So,
I'm not questioning the dollar amount, I'm just questioning, somehow I thought that the point of this was to, again, to mentor students to, by junior, senior year, to be fulfilling the, if that's what's happening, fine. If this is just adults doing this and we just have a bunch of kid actors, I just think we're missing some valuable.
Advisor to the high school student council, advisor to the high school student council. Just what does the advisor to the high school student council actually do? What do these high school student councils members actually do?
They do fundraising, they organize, they do the morning announcements in the classrooms, they do, service work, yeah, dances, any type of programs for, after school, evening, other committees. I mean, they're in service to their school community, and, they need to have an adult when they do any of these things. And usually if they're doing fundraising, it's on weekends, if it's, they need help planning, or if they need to make connections with, community resources to connect with.
How much fundraising do they do? You have a dollar amount?
No, I don't know, I just know from past, we did flowers last year, yeah, we're doing our student reps, or from student council.
Yeah, I understand that.
They did community service out to the, rehab hospitals and convalescent homes last year, where they would go as a group and either play games, read, so there's service work involved, there's fundraising for the school as a whole. They're like really the communicators to the other members of their grade level as to activities and what's going on and how you can get involved. And they also get messages out from the administration to the classrooms.
To piggyback.
Not tonight, but, it may be school improvement can get more involved with just what the student council does. These advisors, maybe they can come in and go to a whole concept that I've tried to get for several years, which is to have students be more involved with the culture at the high school that's going on there. The second thing is the athletic director, assistant, middle school. Do we definitely need to have an athletic director at the middle school? Is that a position that could be?
There's a certification issue involved here. Because we do sports at our middle school, we have an athletic director at the high school that does scheduling and works with the high school students and oversees. If you have an athletic director that is for the entire district, they have to have an administrative certificate, an 092, and typically that becomes more than just a release job for a couple of periods a day. That becomes an athletic director for the district. We may sometime want to look at that, but because our athletic director just manages the high school, in order to run sports, schedule sports, work with the coaches at the middle school, we have employed an assistant athletic director for that purpose.
So you're saying we can or we can't get?
Well, you could,
Why
you,
would this
if you
position?
cut, if you decided you didn't want an assistant athletic director, I'm not sure how the scheduling would get done, the coordination of the fields would get done, so on and so forth, all those tasks, because we can't ask our high school athletic director to do it because he's not certified to go district-wide.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the middle school has no game, they just play intramural sports, right?
They have, no, we have track team, we have baseball.
That
we have
plays other
soccer.
schools?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it?
Can I just piggyback Andrew's question for a second here? On the advisors, now, if I remember correctly, we had a science club that went to Costa Rica? Or going, there's also, I mean, I, from what I understand, the high school has dozens and dozens of activities and clubs that all have advisors. Is there a reason why these particular advisors are singled out versus the other advisors? I mean, if the Model UN group is going to a competition up at UConn versus a history day advisor is going on a Saturday, or, you know, we're identifying these five advisors for a stipend, whereas all the rest of the teachers are doing it within their regular duties. Just curious why these are signaled out.
because you've sat in on many contract negotiations. Have we ever visited the stipend pages? It's not come up. It may now.
So it's just contractual.
It's in the contract that we pay those. It's not in the contract that we pay the other.
Okay.
That may change.
And these appear to be year-round, regular commitments, the other ones are seasonal, maybe a lot of time at one point, but then
Okay.
no meetings that are scheduled on a regular recurring basis every year.
Fine, it's just that it's contractual, it's not a,
Correct.
Contract.
it's not a school decision.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on these sheets? You have one more?
No,
That was it?
that's it.
Wow. Then I put one of Danielle's in the wrong pile.
Regular.
Where do you- oh, where's Danielle?
All yours.
Yeah, we have one other question.
Okay,
I just have one other
we have a late
question.
question.
So the music at the high school, so the teacher gets paid to teach music. They get paid to do the band,
Yeah.
and then they get paid to write the curriculum as well?
If they're on a curriculum writing team that's taking place outside the school year, for example, summer, they would be entitled to the hourly rate for writing curriculum.
And then is that curriculum reviewed by?
It's done under my supervision. They're on a cycle once every 3 years. It's math, science, then English social studies, then the non-core areas. We tend to keep it about the same number of people employed each year, regardless of the topics. And we've reduced it from the first year that we did it at 25 hours for the group to work together to 20 hours. So I launched the curriculum projects, explain the expectations, go over the format, and then I'm there during the course of the week while they're working on the projects to provide feedback and review as ongoing.
Okay, so these people would only get it every 3 years, then they
Correct.
wouldn't get it every year?
Correct.
It's been a big push with the Common Core standards.
Their product is available online on the district website under the curriculum tab. If you'd like to see the course blueprints that we produce, we've been once through the cycle now. So we actually now have a written product in an electronic format that the public and all of the teachers and students and parents can access as a result of that process.
Excellent. Okay, Danielle, where would you like to start?
We'll do the regular ed tuition. one second, I apologize. Yeah, it's the one we talked about today. Okay, what we did was we looked at the past 5 years for just regular ed, this is not special ed. Wamogo, Region 6, you can see we have a steady between the upper 40s, lower 50 range of students, and they are set by the state 7,992 a student. Region 7, we're growing each year. This year we have 1 student in Region 1.
Again, because it's agriculture.
The second column is your magnet schools. It's Greater Hartford
Arts Academy.
And that is also growing each year. We started to see students the past 2 years go to Regio. And then we have a pre-K this year at Craig Aerospace. And the superintendent had asked just to give a little background on how many students we lose to Oliver Wolcott Tech. For this year, 313 of our students go to Oliver Wolcott Tech.
So when you look over the course, you'll see how many students are exiting from the middle school, to our high school, to the high school that year.
This is the first year we've been required by statute to make information about public school choice available on our website, as all districts have to make sure the parents are informed of other options that they have for their students.
Do we provide transportation for all these?
For Oliver Wolcott, for Wamogo, Region 7.
Yep.
And Region 1. But not for the magnet schools, because the magnet schools are part of the chef case, and we are not part of Hartford County. But that'll change somewhere down the path too. But because the others are part of Litchfield County, we do.
So it's this cost plus transportation?
Yes, correct.
Do we know what the transportation is?
Excuse me. For instance, we build it into our regular transportation costs. It's within our contract because Wamogo's right in town, Oliver Wolcott. We do the runs, drop the kids, and then continue on the runs, drop them at our high school. So it's built in. It's not an extra cost. It wouldn't cost us less if we didn't, because it's just taking time, and we have 5.5 hours.
So it's
every day to fit as many runs as we want within that time slot.
And they build it upon already the routes, like for the high school. And as they go along, they pick up the kids, then bring them to a central location by Southwest School, and from Southwest they go to Wamogo.
Now what about like the one kid that goes to Housatonic?
That's one.
That was the one bus goes to Housatonic?
Yeah, that would obviously cost us money. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
Now, in the past, I thought we had some kind of partnership with Wamogo, and that's why most of our agriculture students will go there. That's not the case, they can go anywhere?
Yes, because there's limited numbers that Wamogo can take, and Region 7 opened a program, so students who are still interested in a VOAG program generally apply to both, and hopefully, get accepted in one or the other.
So the 12 students that go to Region 7 are picked up as if they were coming to Torrington High School, brought somewhere, and then all brought up to Wamogo?
Right.
From a central location.
Right, and we cannot deny tuition for those students going there. If we try to get students to go to Wamogo, but if they want to go to Region 7, there's nothing we can do. We do have, we talk constantly with those, I do in my office with those 2 schools, and they let us know when, we hit our threshold because we budget a certain amount. And they've been really good in years past and have denied
What hurts
the money.
So what hurts us is that we have to pay the tuition by the October 1 count of numbers of students who are attending. But then if for some reason they're not making it there, say by January, than the return to our high school.
Do we know how many
The money
get
returned?
returned?
No. No. How many returned? I think there were 7 this year. From
You treat
Wamoga.
all the schools?
Just from
Just from
Wamoga.
Wamoga.
Any returns from Region 7?
No.
No, not the return.
Yeah, and we got some from Alta Woka too.
And were those voluntary returns, or were those kids told they had to go home?
Wamoga, they were told.
Yeah.
They failed out.
Or they weren't meeting the academic expectations of the program.
Right, Jean?
I'm gonna say.
Without Sue getting mad at me.
Oh, wait a minute, can I want you to know I looked into this, and I've asked the state superintendent's program to also look into it. And there is something in some of the legislation about straightening this out, that once a child is accepted to a state school, they should remain in that state school, and they need to provide services that the student may need. But we'll see.
It isn't like they don't have their own students who aren't performing up to their expectations. It's only our kids that
It certainly seems like, I mean, on a consistent basis, you're averaging 50 to 60 students who want to be in a so-called agricultural program. What would it cost to, not this year necessarily, but go through this whole process again, trying to provide those same types of courses that is huge money?
Same process as we saw for the certified nurse assistant. There's a pretty significant startup in terms of determining what state-of-the-art equipment is necessary, and then there are particular certifications that are necessary for teachers in plant science and agronomy and animal science that we currently would not have on staff. So it would be either additional contracted employees or additional full-time employees.
Well, I mean, just this year for 12-13, we're looking at $450,000 out. You know, if that's the average, you know, somewhere between $400,000 to $500,000 a year is what we're going to project going forward. What's it cost?
If you were to visit Mount High School, to the Park, LOAC Center down there, or Suffield and their agri-science program, there's significant startup costs involved in them, and the additional burden of live animals and round-the-clock care and other things. So
Better some, let me go somehow.
And they're not all going because they left out their careers in horticulture or animal husbandry either. Many of them leave for other reasons.
Yeah.
Do we verify to make sure they're still enrolled in the agricultural?
Yeah, they send us
component of it?
the list.
How many from the agriculture, from all these schools do we get? None.
None. This is what I've tried to explain to the board about the need for us to be competitive. Because if we could offer something, then we might have students who want to come here.
We should help everybody.
Is that not going to be part of tonight's discussion in terms of seeing staffing and possible classes that we can eliminate? Yeah, okay.
Ripping through the handouts right now before we get into the individual,
No, no,
see
okay.
if anybody's questions.
I thought that discussion was tied to that point.
Do you want me to make copies of all those?
Yes.
I didn't make copies of all of them.
I read in the newspaper the other day that Hartford is launching their automotive program, and it's going to be state-of-the-art, but I thought the state was picking up the entire tab for Buckley High School. Why aren't we getting it?
They're not Hartford.
Chuck money.
We are
Oh,
not,
do you think that's it?
oh, yeah, absolutely, and we are not an urban school.
Okay,
Even though we're
the
the
next
biggest
question
city
is,
out
what
here.
defines an urban school?
Probably, we could qualify because we are the largest city in northwest
Was
Connecticut.
it based on population?
Uh-huh.
Or is
Needs,
it based on
poverty,
needs? What?
everything, population, poverty, size,
So do we have to apply for them?
no.
Well, why don't we get ourselves status designated as an urban school?
Isn't
I mean,
it,
what would it
isn't
cost?
really
We're not
just, isn't that
performing.
population driven? I mean,
It's population driven, but it's also, we are not performing poorly enough to, and we're also not part of Hartford County, which has the chef agreement. So, or Bridgeport, or they all have, yeah, it's to be, to make your urban centers more diverse.
Can I ask a question if we're done with that? Are we done with that?
Yes.
Can I hear a little bit more about Craig's aerospace program that attracts 4-year-olds?
They have the best
Isn't
paper
that what's
airplane.
going?
They have the best paper airplane.
Apparently. Is this,
It's probably a school that is located on a parent's way to work. And.
It has a preschool.
And it has a preschool attached to it. And they don't care what the theme is, but they can have their children in a quality preschool that they don't have to pay for it. I mean, it would be foolish not to.
from their point, from the taxpayer's view, they might think it's, we do that. Thank you.
No,
Cheryl,
I'm
what
saying
would the
it's-
tuition be coming in? So Region 6 and 7, they're set by the state at 7,900. Are we allowed to charge more? Or is that across the board?
That's right now, that's across the board, from one public school to another. And it matches the cost of what magnet schools are getting right now from, you know, suburban schools.
And how much does it cost to educate a child for our services?
What, about 13?
But the
13,000?
ECS follows those students too.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, did you hear what Sue had to say?
The education cost sharing follows those students too, based on the October 1 enrollment. So your pupil count, the larger number of pupils you have, the larger your ECS payments for the state.
So Cheryl, so we have to pay for this pre-K student to go to a magnet school?
Right now.
Last year.
Last year we didn't have to. Right now, there is something at the legislature that is trying to straighten this all out, because some superintendents from Litchfield County have a lawsuit against why they have to pay tuition to a Hartford County school.
and in fact, they won the lawsuit.
They did, but it's come back up again. Craig sent letters out apologizing to all superintendents because it was something that was tacked on to a bill that became law last year, part of the education reform. So now they're trying to rewrite it openly and honestly this year. I've been tracking it, but I've not found out the results.
Well, the current draft that came out of the Education Subcommittee covers the cost of the pre-K for next year
Only at magnet schools?
at magnet schools, but not the following year. So it's gonna give us a one more year reprieve, and then it becomes our cost unless there's a change.
And next year's not a budget year, so that won't be remedied until at least the 3rd year.
Pretty much.
So this pre-K student is this year?
Yes.
It looks like it's on the line for last year.
Down the wrong line.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
that's okay.
Well, they'd still be there as a preschool if it's.
Okay, Danielle, what's your next one?
We'll do the health insurance.
Whichever you'd like.
Okay. Health insurance.
Okay. That's the one that says trial balance listing in the top
Yes.
there?
This is a direct report straight from the city. It's for the past 5 years, June June 30th, 2012, going back to June 30th, 2008. And as you can see, each year, it's a huge swing, like the city always tells us it is, which is why we budget 110%. And when there's a surplus, they leave it in there because the next year we could have a major deficit. And in order for our budget not to do major swings, this is why we budget the way we do.
So if we look at it, for 2008, it shows that there's a negative balance of $869,000. Then the next year, there was a negative balance of $381,000.
Yep.
And then the next year, there was a surplus of $1.9 million.
Correct.
And then the next year, there was a surplus of $970,000.
Correct.
And then last year, there was a shortfall of $723,000.
Correct. Yep. Yep, it's, yeah,
Right.
it's all claims.
So we've had a surplus in 2 of the 5 years and a deficit in 3 of the 5 years.
Right.
We're still 900,000 to the good roughly.
Right. If you
That's a ballpark,
summarize it,
yeah.
yeah. You know,
What options do we have for going back to the city and looking at paying the penalty to get out of the contract with the current broker that we have?
The current broker?
Yeah, the fees are very high, I think, looking back at what we were paying when we used a local firm, and the employees don't seem to be at all happy with. how
Employees
things are
aren't
going.
happy because they're not educated on their insurance. They need to be educated on the insurance. We had many seminars. They want Anthem. We switched carriers. We were upfront with every single person for 5 or 6 seminars about providers versus coverage. They are receiving the same coverage. If they don't receive the same coverage, we help them. We jump through hoops to get these people covered. When it comes to providers, we were always upfront with them and told them it will not match 100%. Providers absolutely will not match. There wouldn't be a reason to have different insurance companies if all providers were in each insurance company. And that's the biggest hiccup, if you will. Employees believe that like for like coverage is like for like providers, and we never said that from day one.
But what about the fees, the commissions, I think the board needs to look at this more in depth. Maybe not during budget, but certainly over the next couple of months, and we'll evaluate what we were paying before versus what we're paying now.
On the fees for the broker?
Yeah.
The fees from the broker is built into our rate.
Right.
Okay.
But
And we also get a lot more service now than we ever did before. I mean, we went through a massive RFP for brokers when we sat in, Ken, were you on the board yet?
Yeah, I wasn't.
With the
I wasn't
mayor
in the
and the
board.
superintendent, no, the broker, this
the
was
broker
maybe
one I
3,
was
4
in.
years ago. And we brought a lot of different firms in, and really vetted it out.
I mean, I don't know what the rest of
I
the
mean, we
board
can go
thinks.
through the process again,
but-
but it is the part of, it's the city,
I
it's the
mean,
city and the
to me,
board.
it's absurd that we would have to pay a broker to go out and get quotes from other people. It's just, it's unheard of.
It's
We didn't
in our-
start paying until 2010.
Right.
I'm sorry?
We didn't start paying administrative fee until 2010.
Right.
We paid an administrative fee. The broker that used to do it, who lives in town, got his fee a different way.
Right.
It was built into the cost.
But it
He
wasn't-
got his fee.
But it wasn't almost.
It just
$500
wasn't
million.
shown.
So,
I mean, we can go through the process again now that we have a new board, and you'll see. We did it, we vetted it. It was a great process with the superintendent, the mayor. We had many people from the board and the city. I mean, if it's just broker fees that we're talking about, or if it's employees that are calling the Board of Ed because we switch coverage, those are two different issues.
I think that, I know Andrew has asked it pretty much every year for to go out to bid. And as a business owner, our insurance is done every year.
Mm-hmm.
My broker does not get paid to go out to RFP. He has to bring me 4 to 5 quotes, and we compare apples to apples, plan to plan, and then we pick based on, I mean, I don't necessarily take the cheapest. If I want to pay a little more to get something, there might be a little benefit to one versus the other. But if we want to look at it, we have to pay a fee for our current insurance agent to go out and try to find us better insurance. And it just seems counterproductive to it's kind of his job. His job is to administer our insurance and keep us on a level playing field. And if we have to pay him a surcharge to go out and actually get us insurance prices, that just seems silly. I mean, I've never seen it in private business. I've never seen that.
We pay for an RFP. We don't pay for the company. It's not a him, it's the company to get us our fees. This company and Cigna, this company and Anthem go back and forth from January to April negotiating our rates. It's a big undertaking to do an RFP for insurance, especially of a district this size. That's what we have to pay for.
But they're getting about $450,000 for us in commission, so then
They're not getting that. They're not getting that. They're getting about $40,000. Yes, they are, Fiona. I went through the RFP process. We can do it again.
I think we should look at it.
Well,
I don't know where you're getting.
what's the annual administrative cost?
That's to Cigna. That's Cigna's cost, administrative fee. That is not the brokers.
Okay, and then I'm looking for,
The brokers is built into the fee, just like the last one.
well, you're saying it's a specific number he gets.
Off the top of my head, it's around 38 to 42,000. I remember that number from when we did the RFP, but I can.
And I'm just trying to look at your sheet
can,
here to show where that number breaks down.
It's not in there.
It's built into the rate. It's like any other insurance company. If you go downtown to, what's their name? It's very simple. Okay, Brunswick Mill Insurance Center of Torrington was actually the one I couldn't get. All right. If you go down there, and they give you a price for homeowners or whatever, you get a price. Their commission or fee is built into that price. There isn't a separate fee. So, broker to broker, it's in the fee.
Well, I mean, I'm not disputing that. She's saying there's a number that she knows, and I'm just trying to.
Right. It's not on here.
It's not on there. Let me, the city, let me get the contract for Lindbergh and Ripple, and that'll tell us what it is.
When we look at this, I don't see where we show revenue coming in. Revenue from the employees and revenue from the retirees.
This is the city, so
This
isn't my records, this is how the city calculates it. So if you just look at the first page, the June 30, 2012 one, and go to where it splits and says Department 888, non-department.
Right.
Okay, it says investment income, and then the next one, Board of Ed contribution.
Right.
That would be the, I would assume what the Board of Ed pays to the city in monthly installments.
And I'm not,
And then if you.
but I'm not positive that that's correct, the way you break that down, because when you give us our sheet on revenue, you break down.
Oh.
You break down revenue revenue
they
as
don't.
group insurance, and that group insurance number.
They don't, I'm sorry, I met with, I apologize, I just remembered when Alice went over this with us. They do, when we send revenue into the city,
Yes.
it goes into their general fund, it does not go into the insurance fund. That's what we were told, so you will not see the revenue from our employees into
these numbers here. And that's why it bothers me that you're showing on 6/30/12 a deficit of $723,319. And when I see that number, I'd like to know where the group insurance contribution of revenue comes in and offsets that deficit. Because that's actual revenue from the teachers and the retirees.
Right, it's not, they do not add that revenue into
Yeah,
the
but-
insurance.
Yeah, but when I asked to see what.
You asked for the
Yeah,
report
and I
from the
saw this,
city.
I got this from them, and that's why I'm trying to get more information from you, which is that 723, without revenue, is not telling us a clear picture.
I agree.
Well, I mean-
We sat with the city budgets gross for gross, that's what we were told. They will not budget net to net, meaning they will not take our revenue and subtract it from what we owe. They budget gross for gross. They want 100% of the Board of Ed share, and then they want their revenue. And if you do it gross to gross, in the end, it will net out. But they're not gonna net, they're not gonna take our 100% what we owe and subtract the revenue from it. That's not how they budget.
And what I'm trying to get at is when you want to have a transparent and intelligent conversation of the board, we should see a clear picture of just what's transpiring.
So, if I can just, let me see if I understand you, okay? What you want to see is you want to see where the city records the contributions.
Well, I would like to see, when you see a balance on this fund, what are you expecting? You're expecting what your expenses are and what your revenue is.
But we don't control the way they record, they record the fund. So what we can ask them for is ask them for a breakdown of what the employee contributions are in relation to this fund. We can get the numbers, but this is the way they do their bookkeeping. So, I mean, we asked them for their breakdown of total insurance. So now we'll have to go back to them and say, well, where's the revenue? Show me where the revenue is, and apply it to this fund year after year so we can see where we're at. I mean, I understand what you're asking, but this isn't our form. This is the way they record it.
Now, the next issue is you look at the group insurance and you look at the amount of retirees in the plan. And when I asked you the number, what a retiree comes in and gives, I guess they pay every month, you said, right? And that number is, I think you said it was $5,000 a year. Well, when you look at the number on this sheet, this number on this sheet says cost per employee per year, $14,958. My question is, if that's the cost per employee, and the retirees are supposedly paying 100% to be in this plan, that's all we're supposed to be providing. Why is it 5,000 versus 15,000?
It's not. The retirees pay
Well,
the rate. The retirees pay the rate.
The rate is
Same rate we
what?
charge employees.
No, what do you mean the same rate? It says the rate per employee, because we broke down the number. It said fully insured quote, if we were to go out and buy insurance policies for all our individuals instead of self-insuring, it would be $16,240, it'd be $16,249 because it's 1,000 employees in this breakdown. So how is it $16,249 per employee to be fully insured quote, yet when you do the retirees, they're only paying $5,000? You have that answer, Tim?
They're not.
I don't have that.
What am I missing? You told me what the number was that they paid.
Andrew, there's 8 different numbers, first of all. There's not
Okay,
just
well-
one number. You have employee plus one, employee, family. You have dental, dental 1, dental 2, dental 3.
And what does retiree get?
Whatever their family is. I could, a
Well,
teacher.
That's what I
If
asked
I
you.
retire tomorrow, I would be a family. So
Okay.
I would owe $20,000 a year. It's about between 18 and 20,000, please don't quote me. If I was single and I retired tomorrow, I would pay about 5,000 to 7,000 a year. It all depends on what your coverage is.
And I asked you for that number. I'm trying to see that number. I want to see what these employees are paying. You said you can pull it up. Show me what the number is for a family plan, and show me what a single person's paying. I know you popped it up the other day.
Yeah.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, unless this is going to move on to some.
Well, when do you want to talk about this? Because, this was given to us by the negotiation team that we approved this contract a couple of years ago. These are the numbers. Now I'm trying to.
But what they did is they took the total number, you're taking it just, everybody's equal. But
Right.
everybody's not equal, because you have single employees, you have employee plus
Okay.
spouse, you have employee plus family.
Right.
You have some have dental, some don't, some have eye care, some don't. So that there is just total number divided by 1,000 gives you a base.
Right.
But there is a breakdown of how much each individual person is.
And I'm asking her to tell us.
Okay, for a teacher, a monthly rate is $638 a month for Cigna medical. Dental is $23.96 a month. For 2 people, medical, $1,323 a month. Dental, $62.26 a month. And family coverage medical, $1,709. And dental family is $76.64 a month. So you multiply that by 12 and you have your yearly cost for a teacher.
Okay, that's what we're.
There's
But
what,
it's
4,
different for each
what is there,
department.
11 or 12 pages there
Yeah.
on that spreadsheet?
Yeah. Yeah, it's teacher PPO, teacher HMO, admin, yeah,
Then
it's,
there's the retirees.
yep.
And
Certified
that can get
retiree
emailed to
versus-
you, it's a Excel workbook that has about 12 pages.
Yeah,
Do you want me to email it to you?
sure,
Does everybody
I
want that?
guess the reason is, when I looked at these numbers, I thought that our revenue seemed to be coming up short based upon the amount of retirees that was given to me. And the number of retirees that was given to me was, your number was 83?
We have 153 retirees. Retirees for the Board of Ed is custodians,
Right.
teachers, admin,
Who
everyone.
buy into this plan?
Yep, but everyone at retirement has a different plan. A custodian has a completely different plan than a teacher. They have a high option versus the teacher, and then the teacher gets TRB, taking money reduced from their price. It's all different, yeah.
That TRP contribution was on the chopping block at one point in the legislature. How's that going?
We're still receiving the checks and we still are reducing,
Until the
yeah,
beginning of the next fiscal year.
yeah.
So somewhere do you have in the business office what these retirees' elections are and what the cost is?
Mhm.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah, it's helpful in the sense that when we look at this entire picture, which we should do every year, you have to take into consideration this group of retirees, what it costs, what they pay in, and then being that we're self-insured, you have to kind of go, what's the total amount that retirees on average cost the district? And is it better to buy them a plan and a set fee, and can it be done?
No, you legally can't do that. Under law, we have to, for retirees, we have to give them the same insurance that an active member has.
And that's why I'm saying, if you start working the numbers, is it better not for the district to be self-insured? I mean, I don't know what the numbers are for the average retiree year to year, but maybe those out-of-pocket expenses, which are expenses because we're self-insured, it may distort the entire insurance pool so much that it may not be advantageous to self-insure at some point.
You can get, after January 1st, 2014, you can get individual plans that will match what they have now. Currently, you can't buy an individual plan. You have to buy a group plan. There's legislation going on in Connecticut that you can't just get an individual plan. But we could, because I've asked 2 brokers independently of ours, because ours said we couldn't do it. I did check with 2 other brokers based on our conversation, and you can buy a group plan that would cover our retirees. It would be approximately $4,000 to $6,000, just assuming they're all family plans. We didn't break it down because I didn't have that breakdown. If we took 153 family plans, you'd be around $20,000, whereas we're paying like $14,000. But I do agree, and your interesting question is those members of our plan are some of the highest users that we have. So being self-insured, they're paying some of the lowest premium being an employee only, but their cost is high. So it might make sense for us to put them into a fixed plan so that we know our out-of-pocket is this, and that's it. It won't impact the overall pool negatively because, you know, unfortunately, we all know as we get older, we cost more. You could offer a retiree fixed plan. I mean, it would be the same coverage. You know, they would get the same coverage. You just match it to a fixed plan.
And that's only until they turn 65 and go on Medicare, right?
Correct.
Correct, till 60.
But there is one on Medicare, or some of these people.
You need 2 insurances.
Yeah, I mean, most people go on to Medicare.
But they can keep it longer.
If they qualify.
They can stay on our plan longer than 65.
No, only if they don't qualify.
Okay.
No, we kick them off.
So when you
Because we don't legally have to, so we don't carry them.
When you do that breakdown, could you tell us how many have stayed on who still qualify after 65?
If you do that breakdown, though, you have to say employee A, employee B, right? Yeah, we can't give it out like names.
Yeah, I'm not looking for any names.
I'm just making sure it's redacted and it doesn't come out
Right.
with names on it.